Press, we'd like to welcome you to another edition of our weekly press briefing here in the foyer of the Executive Mansion. Today is Friday, August 29th, 2025. It's an honor to be back. Since our last briefings about 2 weeks ago, the president and the delegation was out of the country. So however you're listening, wherever you're viewing from, on the radio or any platforms, whether it's social media or new and emerging media, I want to welcome you to this edition of our press briefing. Prior to His Excellency departing for Japan, and when he concluded his visit to Hong County, on his way back to Monrovia, actually it was in Nimba, the president was informed of the unfortunate situation of the death of the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, Honorable Sylvester Grisby. That moment was a very challenging moment for the President and the Cabinet. But as believers, there's some inevitability of life, and that is part of our earthly journey. So Minister Grisby passed. His Excellency did extend condolences to his wife and family. And we want to take this moment to really recognize the work, the mission, and the role Ambassador Grisby played in Liberia. And the reason why we want to speak about the minister briefly before we talk about the other national issues is because, as you may know, tomorrow, Ambassador Grisby will be laid to rest in Texas, the United States of America. However, the government of Liberia will also organize in due time a memorial to honor his legacy and the role he played for Liberia. And from all of us here at the Executive Mansion, especially those of us who had very close proximity to the minister, his guardianship, his tutelage, his zest, his energy, will miss Ambassador Grisby dearly. Some of us got to know Minister Grisby not just during his administration, but during the administration of President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. At that time, he's always been a very calm and collected individual, a teacher, a leader, and someone who, regardless of your stature in life, your stature in society, he was always a listening ear. He was always willing to help, willing to provide the guidance that we all seek at a time. And he impacted some of us personally. It will be a difficult time. It is, or it has been a difficult time since learning of his passing. So to his family and those who knew him dearly and loved him and worked with him, to the community that he impacted, to the people of Sino County and Liberia in particular, may the soul of Ambassador Grisby rest in perfect peace. May the legacy that he left, the people he touched, the lives he saved, and the connection he made with people on earth May those memories live with all of us. Amen. And I'm here to also inform all of you that President Walker would have loved to be in the United States to be a part of the funeral. But due to some pressing national engagement, the President will be represented, and the government of Liberia is represented by a delegation led by the Minister of Justice, Councillor Oswald Twe. They are already almost in the United States as we speak. I would like to extend again our deepest and profound condolences to the families of Mr. Grisby and all those he touched while he was gifted to the world. And it's been a very busy week, as you all may be aware. The President returned from Japan, where he had a very busy time in Yokohama, Japan's second largest city. Whilst in Japan, the President had a number of engagements, and his presence there was to attend the 9th conference, the Tokyo International Conference on African Development, for SHOTICA. And at that meeting, the President had specific agenda, one on the economy, healthcare, and support to our national development agenda. And whilst the President was in Japan, he engaged and made the case for support to the health sector, particularly a visit to the Shonan Kamakura General Hospital. That hospital played a key role during the Ebola virus disease that ravaged our country and took the lives of some of our citizens. And they also have supported the John F. Kennedy Medical Hospital with dialysis machine and helped to uplift our center there. But amongst the key engagement that the President had, there was also a meeting with the Prime Minister of Japan. Japan and other countries with the leadership stature similar to ours, but it's at the level of the Prime Minister. And that meeting was a very important meeting where our President did talk about priorities for the government, especially the arrest agenda in the areas of road connectivity, electricity, education, and urban connections. Part of the engagement in Japan was also on the city that the engagement was happening in. It's called Yokohama. One of the cleanest, if not the cleanest city, and meeting with the mayor and other officials with the plan of inviting them here, but more so to connect our cities, whether it is Ravos, Sports, Montserrado, Wendjama, Tottenham, or key cities, to be able to learn and share experiences and talk about some of the important organization, but more importantly on the issue of waste management, because this is one of the things that the people in a particular city do so well. You hardly see the trash can in the city areas, and very clean city, something that Liberia or our cities can benefit from. And one of the other issues that is important of this visit to this particular city was the fact that the population is about 3.77 million people. That is almost or more than half of our entire country. So by that parity alone, there is a need to see what best to happen. And in Osaka, the Liberian delegation stayed there to support Liberia and fly high the flag in looking at our economic diplomacy, but more so in cultural exchanges. That was a very important engagement for His Excellency and the team So one of the other things since the president's return is to ensure that our team from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as well as the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs, work together seriously for follow-up. So the president is working with his team, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, headed by Minister Sarah Vesloyanti, and the acting Minister of State here, Honorable Mama Kability, and others to really cap out on the follow-up mechanism, because one of the other things that has happened since our return is to give key updates, because when the president came back, there were further meetings with several other partners there, and that will show that there is a major outcome as what is needed. So while the president was here on yesterday or the day before, he had a meeting with the state of Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock here at the Executive Mansion. And that meeting was key for the president because earlier, sometime last year, the president did visit the United States of America, where he had visited Georgia and met with key leaders. And this is a way in which our president is working to extend support and energy with the United States and build, because Liberia and the United States have had a long-standing relationship, and to see how the United States Senate to build rapport with key senators in terms of helping to push the Liberian agenda. And that meeting was a very important meeting. The president was excited to welcome Senator Warnock as well as his delegation. As you all know, the president have taken this issue of drugs and alcohol addiction very seriously. We've spoken about this here in a number of our press briefings, where we told you some of the actions he had taken as to strengthening the LDA. It is unfortunate that sometimes the people who are appointed at times at the LDA with the mission that the president has, and sometimes if they do not follow, you have some of these challenges. But the president, being who he is not going to relent until the needed action is taken at the Liberia Drugs Enforcement Agency. And as you know, he did remove the entire management team with the mandate to the Ministry of Justice to do an in-depth investigation to proffer recommendation as to the totality of the LDA, their activities, what they're doing, and also to check a rundown as to who's involved and who are the people standing in the way of this fight against drug and alcohol addiction. And the president is very serious about that. He's giving the Ministry of Justice a 3-month period with an acting team that includes the Liberian National Police, the National Security Agency, but most importantly, these discussions and these engagements are in the ambit of the National Security Council. So, inclusive of the National Security Advisor, the NSA, immigration, and all our security apparatuses that are part and parcel of this decision. And the president is really very keen about this, and he really wants to ensure that the new team that will be looked at when the report is submitted, when recommendations are made, that they can really take forward this fight. The current interim management team, they're there for a temporary purpose, so that they can be holding on until the conclusion of the investigation that's ongoing and further action being taken. And I want to emphasize here that the president is really very serious about this fight against drugs, and he's not going to rest, he's not going to hold on, he's going to do all he can to ensure that our young people are saved, that our country is a beacon of hope and peace, especially the young people who are in the forefront of this addiction. And he really, really wants to ensure that our generation and generation after us, that he's going to make sure that the issue of drugs is history. So his fight is strong, he's not relenting. He wants us to emphasize that to all of you. So yesterday, our president also did suspend import tariffs. As you know, electricity is one of the key issue and pillar of the arrest agenda. And for him, electricity and connecting Liberia and connecting homes is something that he really looks forward to doing. So any opportunity to do that, he will go ahead to doing that. By that I mean he did suspend tariff on the off-grid solar renewable energy product. This means that there are certain type of product that tariffs have been lifted that will help the agencies involved, such as the Rural and Renewable Energy Agency, to be able to connect communities, to provide support and provide electricity where they're in dire need. And you know, it has also been a challenging time, as I mentioned earlier, for the president. So the president is going to take the weekend to mourn his friend, his dear friend, Mr. Sylvester Grisby. May peace be to his ashes. While we're on that, our president also did make an appointment, and I will just announce that really very quickly to let you know the appointment that has been made, so that the individuals involved will know. So for the Governance Commission, our president has appointed Mr. Jala Kesali as executive director. Mr. Kesali will join the team at GC to be able to really bring up front the goals and aspirations of that institution. So we'll pause here for a moment and take questions should you have. Comment. As usual, you will call your name, the institution you represent, and we'll call it a day. Thank you very much, and good afternoon. Yes, Julius.
Thank you. I'm Julius, content from Fulton TV. In your deliberation, you stated that the president will, as part of the drug decision, do in-depth investigation. I'd like to know what prompted this drastic decision to relieve all top officials at the level of the LDEA. And two, following the August 24th program, a few of the media institutions reported that the president allegedly boycotted that particular program. What's your response to that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Maurice Waleti, and I report for OKFM. Thank you, Madam PPS. Just a follow-up to the first question that my colleague asked. There are speculations in the public that there were some revelations made by the deputy at the LDA who is now relieved of his position, and also the head of the IMCHRA, that's Mr. Dempster Brown, who then said that top government officials are involved into drugs, alleged drug peddling. I want to know how do you respond to that from the angle of the executive mansion, and secondly, like for example, we've been seeing the president coming up with some decisions, like by suspending some officials, like for example, the LACRA, at the level of the LACRA, and the justice minister was asked to investigate some of these cases that are coming from some of the institutions. We want to know how far are some of the investigations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Quickly to your question as to what prompted the president's decision to dismiss. As I said, the president has taken this drug issue very, very seriously. And in order not to be repetitive, when the president took over, we all know the actions. But just very quickly, he set up a committee, he took the drug test, he engaged partners and stakeholders surrounding that. So for him, this issue is not a backbencher kind of issue. So whatever he needs to do or he wants to do for this particular issue to be history, that's what he's going to do. What prompted his decision? As you put it rightly, this will be the second instance of either suspension or dismissal of the same institution within the time frame of when the president became president of the country. So that means even if he has to do it 10 times, he's going to do it. Because for him, he wants to take this very seriously. And just to tie the both question as to speculation, someone did provide information. Again, with the in-depth investigation, the president requested the Ministry of Justice because, there will be, of course, as always, speculations, and as you mentioned, people will say, oh, this person is involved, that person is involved. But when the Ministry of Justice, as the institution with the implementing power and authority, so they will have to do a full investigation as to everything surrounding the LDA, whether the speculation as to government officials are involved, to name them, and that the president will take action. I can tell you, for this president, if there anyone who is seen as a government official or a presidential appointee who's involved with this drug trade or is creating a problem for the government, the president will take action. So whoever has additional information as to who you believe or you have evidence that they're involved, or because again, at the end of the day, you will have to be able to ensure that whatever information that's coming out, they're the factual information. So the Ministry of Justice and team are supposed to do the investigation within a period of 3 months, and then make recommendation to the president. Then he will review the recommendation and take action where necessary. As to the other status of investigations, we've said this a number of times here. Investigations are processes and procedures that go on. Some have been concluded in reports to the president. President is reviewing them. There are some who are still investigating, because for the issue of corruption allegation who have been suspended, it takes some time. And the other thing about it, as you know, the issue of suspension and investigation is not just one-sided. You have the executive, for example, the president will take an action to suspend official, but you also have the LSCC that's supposed to, further some of those conversations and pick them up and investigate further. So it's a multi-layered approach to investigation that are ongoing. As to August 24th, the president is a leader who believes everyone has a role to play. So the August 24th program, the National Flag Day, the president had just come in the country, and then the Minister of Justice represented the president to the occasion, and that occasion was attended by the Rifle Authority, and that's about it. The president will from time to time send individuals to represent him. That's why he has a cabinet. The president will send individuals to represent him to occasions as he deems necessary. And the August 24th occasion was one of those occasions that he has sent the Minister of Justice to represent, as we also just talked about it. He also has sent the Minister of Justice to represent him at the funeral of the late Minister of State for Presidential Affairs. So that's the kind of leader he is, and he's looking forward to having everyone who works with him and being inclusive of what he has to do.
Yes, I have a little follow-up to this drug issue. The last time I had engagement with you, you stated that the president will not take decision based on hearsay, rumor, and allegation, but based on facts and evidence. I really like the LDE. What really prompted that decision? Because he said he would just not dismiss on hearsay or based on investigation or cogent facts?
Okay, Julius, I did say here also that before this decision, it was a joint National Security Agency conversation and update as to what happened and the need and recommendation that was made. Even if you saw the release that we put out, I mean, that release, it was a work of the joint security agencies, inclusive of the National Police, the Ministry of Justice, the NSA, and all the security apparatus that even the EPS. So when our security team, in fact, there were a series of national security meetings held, and most security meetings are held because they're security meetings, and they're held out of the limelight. They meet the president here sometimes, or sometimes at the rehab office, or as deemed necessary by the president. So there have been security briefing to the president. So his team, so his action that was taken, it was not just based on the media interest or the information that was on national radio as to someone on the phone. So that was not based on that the president took the decision. It was based on update by and from the Joint Security Force, the Joint Security Council. And as I mentioned, the membership, these came together, they met, brainstormed, provided information, provided update, and even the pathway for what needs to happen, recommendations were made to the president, and the actions were taken.
Yes, BPS, my name is Yubeli Masale, and I work for Sky Communications, Sky FM, Sky Television Online. For me, I'm concerned about the import tariff that you just talked about. You talk about the president lifting import tariff on renewable energy. Is that the only commodity?
So every now and then, His Excellency does depending on the need for the sector. So like I mentioned, the president has different team leaders. They will let him know, we want to do X, Y, Z. And you know this, the executive order that was signed, it was in place before. I believe it was executive order number 134. It was executive order 134. It expired, and as you know, executive orders have a time frame of 1 year. So that executive order had expired, and there was a need for a renewal based upon the president's mandate or the president's plan for the long-term electricity support. Because right now, what the country needs is not what the country has. The country needs more electricity. So even now, if you speak with colleagues or leadership at the Liberia Electricity Corporation, they'll tell you that what we have is less than what we need. So that's why you have solar energy is part of the plan. You know, even LEC now is working on a solar farm that's in the facility up there, as well as in Boni and other places. And so to be able to sustain and provide more electricity to communities, you need both the hybrid type solar energy as well as a regular one that has to be fueled with all of that. So this one is to take off the tariff, meaning you withhold the taxes. Because if the taxes are on the product, it makes it quite expensive that the rural renewable energy team and those in the sector who are using those items, they won't be able to afford, or it will be very high. It makes electricity quite expensive for people. But just to show that specific items or specific product that have been lifted of the suspension include products used of energy appliances such as agriculture mills, solar grain mill, solar water pumps, solar dryers, solar radio, solar TV, solar egg incubators, solar blenders, motors for agricultural applications, motors for commercial industrial value chain, electric pressure cookers, and the list goes on. So this, you also have electric cord, solar water heater, upgrade generators, etc. So this, or these are the list of items that includes the suspension of the tariffs that's on there so that the cost can be reduced, because the higher, if you put tariff on those, the higher it is, it becomes higher for the end users. So it makes it quite challenging. So based on advice, and then these executive orders, because one of the other questions will be, okay, so if the government is looking for money, why are you taking out tariffs from these products? So it is not just one entity that recommended these kind of involvement. It's also with the LRA, the Liberia Revenue Authority. So these things are studied over time to say, okay, we're going to be losing our revenue generation in this, but is it the right thing to do? Why do we need to do this, and that, and then they do the cost-benefit analysis, and then they provide, they work together to ensure that this is something that will work in the best interest of the country. That's the bottom line. That's why it's important. All right. So I'm sure we've spoken. Any questions? See with the mic? No? Okay. So thank you all so very much, and we'll see you when we see. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Folks, that was Presidential Press Secretary Kuda Fufana addressing members of the press. She made mention of several issues, including President Borkai